Trey, do you have any thoughts about these coaching changes? New offensive coordinator, new defensive coordinator.
For Michigan,
Yeah.
I you know, it was it's one of those things where I think this is just going to be a year of they're going to take a step back this year. Mostly because they're losing a lot, especially on defense. So I don't know. I mean, I don't really feel one way or the other. Um, I think Gaddis, and we talked about it last week. Um, we don't know the amount of influence Gaddis had on every particular play call. I will say I agree with Mark's assessment that, and yours as well, Des, that it was Jim Harbaugh's his tendencies in terms of how he would like to approach a game, but that was all Jim. But what I'm interested to see is, does this offense go more towards that way, or do we go really towards a pro style of offense? Are we really going more towards Jim? And maybe Gaddis was trying to keep him a little bit more of speed and space, in terms of his influence. Um, to be honest with you, Mark, I'm really not sure. I mean, it's because we know we lost both sides, so I'm not exactly sure yet. Got to get more of a feel. Ask me that after the spring game. I want to see how they go about things then, and see how things
Well, you
look.
can't give out too much in the spring game. You don't want to get too crazy with the showing your hand and whatnot. But yeah, it'll be interesting. I still feel the same way that I felt last week. I think we talked about it a little bit, but the defense will most likely take a step back, and hopefully the offense would take a step forward. So we shall
Look
see.
at the listeners, making friend connections here or in the chat. Have people want to stay in touch with each other and get to know. I love it. Look, we're making friend connections here at the Voice of College Football Michigan channel. Look at us. I love it. I
And
love it.
Michael Hogg searched it up, and it was 37 degrees. Whatever day we were asking him about, essentially the playoff game. So, I mean, that's
Dave,
not the frozen tundra, but
Dave Snow. What's his name? Dave Snow. There. What are you talking about? How am I negative? I'm at a pause. I don't really know what to expect. I find interesting, not to do some kind of psychoanalysis dive, but it's when people listeners sometimes hear non-positivity as negativity. I hope that makes sense. Like, just because I'm not saying like, oh, this is going to work and be great, doesn't mean I'm saying it's going to be bad. I'm saying that we have to wait and see. I I find that very interesting. But Dave, thank you for the
The thing I'll
comment.
say about these coaching changes is, do I know, you know, distinctly these coaching resumes and how good these coaches are? No, I don't. So I'm not going to make an evaluation on how good the hires are specifically. But Jim Harbaugh rebuilt a program at Stanford, rebuilt the 49ers, and upgraded Michigan. So he's been successful at every stop. And any head coach that's successful, that's one of his major responsibilities and talents, is to identify talent and to build a coaching staff. And he's apparently been able to do that at every stop. So they reset the staff at this time last year. That proved to be successful. So I'm going to trust that this coaching staff is going to be successful. This Jess Minter as defensive coordinator, along with Steve Clinkscale, who obviously is already there, taking over for Mike McDonald. I'm gonna push aside the Vandy stats from last year. They're so overwhelmed in the
Vandy,
SEC. I
yes,
don't know that
okay.
anyone can scheme Vandy to stopping anybody. But he was at Indiana State. They were a marginal program. He fielded a top five defense when he got there. He went to Georgia State. They had the best points per game improvement on defense than anybody in the country. And then when he was coaching the Ravens secondary, their stats and metrics across the board were top five in the NFL. So he must know what he's doing.
Yeah.
You know, I gotta be honest, Mark. When you brought up, Indiana State and Georgia State, I kind of just, that didn't really move the needle too much for me. But I understand what you're getting at. I really do. Um,
Well, if he was at Georgia State and Indiana State and was the bottom 5 of defensive rankings, I'm sure you probably would have another thought about it.
to be quite honest with you, like I'll say what I said again.
Oh,
Just the
whatever.
fact that- just the
You're
fact-
lying. Don't lie to our listeners. Don't
I
do
mean,
that.
look.
Don't you do that.
The only time I've heard of Vandy being good or even decent, what was their record? What was Jay Cutler's record while he was there?
I think 9-3, something like that.
James Franklin went 9-4 2 consecutive years there. And with that, I will bid adieu. You boys take it home.
All right, Mark.
Thanks,
We'll
Mark.
see you.